Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
We got notice that the Crown was bringing the matter forward into docket court so they could withdraw the charges. So really good, because that's obviously been an outstanding ticket since April. So it's been over a year that's been hanging over the head of Derek Reimer.
More good news on the Fight the Fines front. We've got a victory in Calgary for Derek Reimer of Mission 7 Ministries, and we couldn't have done it without you. Now, Derek Reimer and his Mission 7 Ministries became one of Rebel News' Fight the Fines cases after Reimer was ticketed not once, but twice for an illegal public gathering. Now, we all know Art Pawlowski, the international sensation pastor who cast police and health authorities out of his church. But many of you came to know Art first and Derek Reimer at roughly the same time for the exact same reason. Derek Reimer, like Art Pawlowski, was out feeding the homeless in Calgary way back in April, so nearly 14 months ago. He was one of our first Fight the Fines cases where we put people who have received a lockdown ticket in touch with a top criminal lawyer or civil litigator at no cost to them to help them fight their lockdown tickets in court. Take a listen to Derek from about a year ago here.
The same officer who ticketed Art came, but then it didn't bother him what we were doing. He said, as long as the group doesn't get too big, you can preach and you can feed the homeless, that doesn't bother me. And we have that all captured on film and left with that. So we go out there and we feed the homeless and we preach the gospel and we pray for the sick. And it wasn't very even busy on the streets because it's very desolate in Calgary. But there were a bunch of us out there, and cops came, and a couple of weeks ago they were warning me, and we're back out there. We just keep doing it. Cops came right at the beginning and they were watching, and so they hung out for the next hour and a half. And then, take it at us. Be that as it may, we'll be out there this weekend on the corner of Stephen Avenue and 2nd Street and doing what we're called to do. I'm not going to have the money to spend on outreach supplies. I'm not going to have the money to spend on any kind of resources, because now is spent on tickets if it doesn't get thrown out. I believe that this is totally a godsend too. You guys stepping in, just helping us. So we appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Well, friends, I've got good news to share from Derek's Fight the Fines lawyer, Sarah Miller, who's just been working so hard for churches and pastors. She's Art Pawlowski's lawyer, and you know that's a full-time job. And she recently secured a victory for the Full Gospel Outreach Center in Prince Albert. She got their $14,000 no-mask ticket kicked out. And she tells me that she's had Derek's 2 lockdown tickets tossed out of court. Take a listen.
Derek Reimer runs Mission 7 Church in Calgary. He does street outreach, similar kind of context to Pastor Art Pawlowski. And Derek has received a ticket back in April 2020. So right at the beginning of the pandemic, really, when the rates of infection relative to today that were being reported were very low. And he had maybe 10 people attend his outdoor street outreach. So he was preaching and sharing gospel on the street and got a ticket in breach of public health order. Derek and I could not figure out what exactly the ticket was even for. We looked at the law at the time. We couldn't figure out what they were alleging. The police notes weren't clear. And so of course, once we got disclosure, which took a while, we set a trial date. Trial, of course, was the court couldn't give us 2 days of trial to argue our charter issues until September 2021. So obviously we're not there yet. That trial in September 2021, once I got a PTC, a pre-trial conference with a provincial court judge and the Crown, I think that's when the Crown really looked at the file to prepare for that meeting with the judge and realized that there was a lot of issues with this ticket, just from a factual basis. We subsequently, like the week later, filed constitutional notice to say we're challenging the public health order that was in effect at that time, and we were seeking remedies under Section 24, which means essentially what we were hoping for is that the Crown, or that the ticket would be stayed. So we filed that constitutional notice with the court. We served it on the crown. A couple days later, we got notice, or it was maybe 10 days later or however long, we got notice that the crown was bringing the matter forward into docket court so they could withdraw the charges. So really good, because that's obviously been an outstanding ticket since April. So it's been over a year that's been hanging over the head of Derek Reimer. He also got another ticket not as long ago. I think it was approximately in December or January, for similar circumstance, outside handing out food and clothing to street people or homeless or low income Calgarians. Got a ticket for public health order violation. We weren't sure exactly what part of the public health order, or actually it says public health act, so we weren't sure if it was an order or the act or what the actual violation was.
Restrictions, exemptions cite that, religious soup kitchens, that was an exemption as an essential service.
You can argue that in court. That's
okay. Were you guys aware of that though?
I've read the website and stuff.
So I'm just curious, despite being aware of that, that still warrants a ticket being issued?
Yes.
The disclosure came, it didn't again really indicate why specifically this was a necessary ticket or a reasonable ticket. Luckily, we already had the ear of the Crown prosecutor, who looked at the file and realized that this ticket also had to be withdrawn. So we got two tickets withdrawn in the same week for Derek. He's now clear and free as far as tickets go. Obviously, in Alberta, we're still under a lot of public health order restrictions, and so and he's got a very strong need to go out and reach out to the community, provide services to the community, and share his religion with his community. So maybe more will come, but for now we've got both of the tickets that he's received so far in this pandemic to be withdrawn.
Once again, this is another moral victory. While Calgary's mayor seems hell-bent on cracking down on Christian pastors feeding the homeless, and Calgary Police Service seems eager to issue tickets to anything they think is an illegitimate protest, the prosecutors involved aren't all that eager to put these cases in front of a judge. I guess they don't want to explain how ticketing a man who ministers and cares for and loves Calgary's marginalized people could somehow be in the public interest. And none of this would be possible without the generosity of all of you at home who continued to donate to our largest civil liberties project ever, FightTheFines.com. I want to thank you so much for the difference that you're making every day in the lives of people you've never met and may never know. It's a good thing that you're doing for freedom, for the people that Derek helps, and for families who could be absolutely destroyed by a $2,000 lockdown ticket. You're helping the people politicians have forgotten about, and I'm just so grateful. I speak to these people that you're helping every single day, and I know how much they appreciate your kindness. Now, we still have 1,200 people and businesses and pastors in the Fight the Fines pipeline, and so there's still so much work left to do. But, friends, it's working. If you'd like to support those 1,200 people in their quest to fight their lockdown tickets in court with the help and support of incredible lawyers like Sarah Miller from JSS Barristers, please donate today at FightTheFines.com. And donations there now qualify for a charitable tax receipt through the Democracy Fund, a registered Canadian charity that works to advance and protect the civil liberties of all Canadians. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Fighting Derek Reimer's 2 tickets for feeding the homeless could not have been possible without your generosity. If you'd like to help us help the 1,200 other people remaining in the Fight the Fines pipeline, please donate today at FightTheFines.com. And donations there now qualify for a charitable tax receipt through the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund, a charity that works to advance and protect the civil liberties of all Canadians.